This is the Lekker Rugby Pod with Harry Jones and MW Welman.
It's time to chat to Harry. It's a Lekker Rugby Pod. I'm extremely happy. Last week I was a little despondent, or a lot despondent, if I could call it that. Today I'm fairly hoarse. I shouted myself, into another dimension. Harry, I'm happy to see you wearing a blue cap. I respect that you respect us. So let's hear what you have to say about this one.
Hey, big respect to you and your lads. Your mob, I think, brought the right attitude. I'm going to go this whole episode talk about the mentals of rugby, the chies. I think people talking about it post-match. Jake was really brushing off his Afrikaans all week. I thought that was interesting too. I think Jake White did a lot of things that we can discuss that I think are interesting in a larger sense to prepare him for the final. He's got this team really believing him. And I think this is important, credibility of coaches. I saw Andries Becker in there too, and they were feeling it in the coaches box. I think players need to feel like their coaches are living and dying with them as well, but not panicking. And I think that's one of the things Jake brings to his side. What do you think I know you were in all the pressers before. I think you had some comments about how you took Leo versus Jake. Was that funny games? Were they playing games? Or do you think Jake really had some worries?
I think Jake was playing games. I think, for all our talk about Rassie being so smart and Rassie this and Rassie that, don't give Jake credit where it's due. He might not be as obvious about it or might not be as flashy about it, but he played this game. He played this Irish coaching team, and even everybody else, the press, including myself. He played us like whatever you want to call it. He knew it. I told you many times he's despondent. He seems a little, brushing things off. Yeah, no, we made it this far. We're not going to get that much further. And then Leo, on the other hand, was all like, yes, guys, we're going to do well. I asked him about the crowd. He says, yeah, no, we've had bigger crowds, man. We've had 82,000 people. So your 52,000 doesn't scare us, that kind of thing. And I mentioned to you during the week, there's a lekker Afrikaans word, then you know it quite well. It's windgat, man. And that very first press of that online, the whole impression I got was the guys are windgat. And there's nothing a South African team likes more than cutting down someone who's being windgat. That's just the way it is. And Jake said afterwards, he could see in his players' eyes when they ran onto the field, today they're not gonna take any prisoners, and they didn't. So yeah, I agree with. I think Jake played everybody.
I can see why they have achieved windgatitude. So Ireland is a country that was never. Ireland was a country that was never rich. It had great troubles in unifying. It's still obviously not completely unified. It's not that big. It doesn't have that many playing stocks, and yet right now they have the best rugby team that they've ever had in the history of Ireland. It's also the best sporting team of any sporting team in the history of Ireland, and most of those players are in this particular club side, this provincial club side. Most of them went to school together in Blackrock and St. Michael's. I can see why they believe their own. But here's the thing, and I think this is right. I think you've keyed in on something of maybe Leo's vibe has gone stale. Maybe you can keep having different assistant coaches all you want. Maybe you can bring in Jacques Nienaber, the genius of keeping tries out. I thought that Leinster held the Bulls to a low enough score that Leinster should have won, right? If you'd say beforehand, I'll give the Bulls 25. Can you, Leinster, Mr. Attacking Team, put a 26 points across you would say, okay, we'll try that, right? So there's other things going on here that's not Nienaber's fault. The attack is sputtering. And now all the theories are, well, because of the focus on defense is, come on. There is something going on there where it is in their heads. Leo looks a little bit like a zombie.
Yeah.
Sorry for the zombie reference.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
So I'll flip it around on you. So Jake White, and I think you're right, but let's analyze why that is. There's a book that I have picked up a long time ago that kind of helps me navigate through life in some hairy situations that I get in. And it's called the 4 Agreements. And it basically has some principles that I really see Jake kind of doing, which is be impeccable with your word, which is be precise. Like, why is your kick chase not working? What are my escorts doing? how can I, bring Wilcolo properly through the line on the scrum, but be impeccable. So that's like precise coaching. Next one is don't take anything personally. And there, I think that means on the ref. We'll talk about the ref in a second, but when you find adjudication really crazy, don't take it personally. That's not the way to get through it. And I thought the Bulls were really good on that, by the way. And the third one is don't make assumptions. Like, don't think that everything's going to go your way. Every pass will stick. The game will always go your way. And the final one is always do your best. So I heard Jake post match as well, talking about no excuses, no assumptions, take nothing personally. And he kept saying this, which is, I think, is like, do your best, be brave. He said, Sergio, kind of, you had some brain farts there, but now what? Be brave. Like, if you're going to go for the 50-50, go for it. And look what happened. Do you think, Jake, we're looking at the best Jake White of his career, or are we getting too kind of swept away in Windgat as well?
There was actually quite a debate going on on my channel today about exactly that. Jake being a better coach than he was in 2007. And the one camp says, yeah, it's because he's more experienced. The other camp saying, no, because he changed his philosophy. And there's quite a difference in approach, like you just said now. Jake, when he was younger, you mentioned it earlier, when he had good players or the best players, he could be a very, very good coach. But nowadays, he's a level lower, but he still manages to get test quality kind of performances from these people, and that to me makes a difference. Yeah,
he's not got Bucky's Porter and Victor Matfield in his second row now, but he's still getting quality play out of his second row. Those locks, I don't know, they're not going to be the goats of South African locks, but wow, I thought they outplayed Ryan and Joe McCarthy. Yeah. Hey, by the way, Joe McCarthy, so the Leinster only got 4 penalties against them in the match. Joe McCarthy had 4 infringements in 1 tackle. I saw him at a ruck and he was doing 14 infringements. I mean, the idea that you could have that kind of match and only have 4 penalties. And listen to all my Irish friends. I'm not saying, it's just that the ref was in over his head. It's got nothing to do with bias or prejudice. It's that it's impossible to imagine a match played like that in that style with only 4 infringements by the team that had less ball and was on defense. It doesn't make any sense. That would never really happen in the lab. When they go back and look at it, the ref will have to acknowledge to somebody, his boss, I missed a lot. But for Bulls supporters, who cares, right? I think you guys made the adjustments at halftime and said, so if you're going to call it like that, let's play like that. And then you won.
You said to me you're worried about Leinster not being able to make those halftime adjustments now. What do you mean by that?
So rugby is not like NBA basketball where the coach is two feet away from you and telling you, pick and roll, slip the screen, and then you make adjustments in the moment of the play. It's not like NFL where the play is run into with, detailed Tom Brady armband and everything is rehearsed. It's not like any other sport. Even tennis now allows you to coach for the play. We're going to go big, we're going to go net. Rugby, you're left alone a little bit, and the coach has to die on the sidelines and go, oof, I wish they were doing this and that. I got a water boy, I got a physio, but it's really inexact because of the fact that the ball stays in play for 2 minutes at a time sometimes. So it really makes your ability to adjust in oranges more important than in other sports, because that's your only time for your 10, 12 minutes to say, focused, what I want to do on the shape of this diamond attack, or Hanekom, you need to be in the second channel of D. I don't want you on the pillar post, or I want LRI low and Hanekom on the trams because I'm going to kick to you, and I want you guys to be the catch, throw in instead of the wings. All that stuff is where you have to do it when people are tired, crazy, it's insane in that locker room. And I think that the coaches that can do that are the ones that win in rugby, and the ones that don't, like Leo, who have the players. I mean, if you look at the lineups, you'd say, okay, that team should win because it's basically a test team. And unless we're going to say the clubs are better than international teams, I don't think we're at that point. So Jake outcoached Leo. I think the coaching team of the Bulls outcoached the Leinster team, coaching team, which has, better paid. They have more credentials. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that Leinster in the second half looked like they had made the right adjustments or not? I thought they played worse.
No, not at all. I think rather than then changing, we just stepped up another gear, and that's to me what was a big difference. And speaking of the coaches, I thought that we were going to be, all our weaknesses were going to be exposed because we had Jock Nienaber sitting there with all these little notes and stats on every single player that's ever run out in the field in South Africa, and it just didn't appear. And the one thing that was standing out for me again from people making comments and the likes is the role that Willie Leroux played in countering Jock Nienaber's kind of defense. He knows how Jock works. So and now they're talking about possibly a future role as an attack coach. But yeah, I thought to me that made more sense. It was part of the plan. Willie knew inside out how Jock's brain works. There's only so much you can do in defense. So if you can outsmart the defense of that kind of caliber of defense coach, you've got it made. I mean, they scored 3 tries against a Jock Nienaber defense in the semi-final.
Should have scored 4.
They should have scored. They could have scored.
I think in the first. So I just started doing this thing where I rip up one player's performance because I thought Cameron Hanekom's performance was non-paralleled. It was. I mean, if he was French and he was number 9, this would be heralded as the reinvention of rugby. But I was looking at him, and I do piece by piece. What I do is I rip up an entire game into 8 chukkers, so 10-minute pieces. And what I want to watch is that your work rate never falls. He played a full 80, so it's perfect. I've only done it for locks before, and I did like James Ryan, Matt Phillip, Rob Simmons, Sam Whitelock, Brody Retallick, Eben Etzebeth. And so I do that because a lock's job is pretty much a lock's job, so you can compare lock to lock. 8's kind of weird, but I'm telling you right now, I've only gone through 2 chukkers, I call them, 10-minute. This guy, Hanekom's work rate is off the chart, but it's not just that. What he was doing, like the variety of things, attending 3 rucks in about 13 seconds, chasing kicks, assisting tackles, second receiver in the midfield off lineouts. He was second receiver 3 times in the first 10 minutes, so he was getting to run straight at someone. He went head to head with Furlong at a ruck, with just him and Furlong, with Jameson Park coming in the side and smashing into Hanekom's knee, and he still beat Furlong, a prop, over like in a shoulder fight. The guy's strong. He anchored a big scrum and helped Papier escape. One time he just used his bum just perfectly to shield him. Smart, let's see. He chirped at Josh van der Fleer after a turnover, got right in his face and let him have it. I love that too. I love that aggro. Tell the guy that you his daddy. He held the ball at the base just perfectly on the scrum. He ran a great line and took from Willie on the run in the trams, and he's the one who fed Sergio, who should have finished that, by the way. That to me was the 4th try. It was easy. Just go in with your head into the line. You're going to get there. I don't know what he was trying to do. He escorted back. He took Dan Sheehan off the ball and made him feel it. Sheehan was trying to take Hanekom, and he just UFC'd him. And Sheehan was whining to the touchy. I mean, that's just. I'm 14 minutes in. Okay, that's a full action figure. That's a Marvel comic boy. I could not be any higher, and I've said this for a long time now. But I really want to go rip, involvement by involvement, which is what the coaches do, and do plus minus neutral. The guy was immense. Do you think that he is now someone that is on the Erasmus radar for the Irish test, or could there be a better dress rehearsal for playing Ireland than beating Leinster and outplaying Caelan Doris?
Before I answer that question, let me say this. No, you mentioned Caelan Doris. Jake said after the match, Caelan Doris said to him, who's Jake, that they threw everything at Cameron and Hanekom. And this is now Ireland's number 8, and they couldn't, including the kitchen sink, and they couldn't make him stop. He just kept on coming. So
no, he breaks tackles. He breaks tackles, and he does it from a standing start.
I think, before today or before yesterday, I was thinking Evan Roos probably a shoe-in for number 8, after Dwayne's now retired and Jasper has been banned till eternity. But after this match, I mean, he can't play next week against Wales. It's probably going to be Roos. But yeah. I can't see him not making that a box side. Only drawback is that he might have, he's going to have a week less to be part of the squad. And he might, pick up a niggle or 2, which I hope he didn't. He was injured this season already. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely think a shoe-in as a, not just for this match, but as the future number 8 in the Boks side. I can't see Buthelezi or anybody else, even Frankie Horn. I mean, he's not even in the squad, but even I can't think of any other 8th man in South Africa that can fill the, in South Africa right now, that can fill the role that he's been playing. Even Jasper Wiese, even if he's coming back after suspension, it's not in the same league. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he combines something really interesting, which is he's got that Vus stuff, he can really get into, and he likes the man on man. He wants to win that battle. Like when I saw him head to head with Sheehan, who's a good athlete, strong, and got plenty of aggro too. That was just, 2 young lions going at it. And he flipped him. He tossed him, put him down, and made him feel it. I like that because he doesn't really get carded either. He's not one of those guys. Like, so Ruiz has to watch it because he already has a little bit of that Bismarck rep already, and he relies too much on his physical superiority. When you look at Hanekom, he doesn't necessarily look like he's going to overpower you. I don't know where he's getting that from. It's a bit of an Artie Surveyor kind of skill where you have different tendons and ligaments than the rest of us.
I tell you what, it's that Dale Steyn, the cricketer used to have that. They call it, what are they, long fibers or fast twitch fibers or something. Because I saw
he's
him,
very dynamic. Yeah.
I stood next to Hanekom the other day at the B field having coffee or something. It's about my size, lengthwise. He's not hugely big. He doesn't have those big forearms that Roos has got. But when he runs, he reminds me of Pierre Spies, that kind of a fluid running, fast, but he's more physical than what Pierre Spies used to be. So to me, that's the thing. That when you see him, the one thing you refer to, he picked him up, he threw him down, almost like Hendrik Rousseau did against the Lions. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And then he was up on his feet again immediately and on to the next one. Like you said, 3 rucks in 13 seconds. I mean, that's just ridiculous, the work rate that he's gone through. And then
he does double tackles.
Yeah.
He does double tackles, which I know Rassi likes. The ability to tackle, come to my feet, and then reverse. Yeah, I think backpedaling is also a skill, especially now where you want to make sure the ref sees you as onside, see me, and then you go. He's really good at that. So I just think the guy's got the high IQ, but in tandem with low, it was really devastating because you basically you had to pick your poison, and I don't think Leinster knew what to do with those 2 guys. The other thing I would say is I don't know if Leinster's attack running through Ross Byrne is they haven't found their heir to Johnny Sexton. Let's just say this: if Johnny Sexton was playing yesterday, what do you think? Might have been a different outcome. No, they would have put people in the right place, the right field, right territory. Ross Byrne never looked like he was controlling that match, not even for 1 second. Whereas Hussein moved the ball around. Sometimes the Bulls were just making them do 22 or goal line dropouts for fun. You're like, okay, you want to play James Lowe? Do you think you can kick far? Hussein's got a monster boot.
Yeah, Billy as well. Jake specifically said that change of kicking style was something that they planned. Kick deep, not kick contestable. Make them run back. Let them kick, run up and down, tire them. Jake is a big believer in the altitude thing. We've had a couple of spars, him and I. But that worked. I mean, the guys were out on the feet. Leo said, "Nah, they looked fine to him," but they were dead, man. They were dead.
No, they were dead legs. And also, Jake took the pressure away from the kickers and said, "If you do kick it dead, and we have a scrum from where you kicked, fine. What do you think? Like, scrum is good."
Yeah.
So it took away the downside, in your mentals when you think, "Oh, I got to be just perfect on my kick. I got to roll it out." No, just kick it, monster. Believe in yourself. And to me, Hussein is playing where he's forced himself as well into the conversation for Bok 10. I mean, obviously, Pollard is the incumbent, but I mean, now you're looking for who will take you, over the next 3 years.
And the thing with Hussein is too up and down for me. I've said it many times. He's either brilliant or bad, and he's often.
But he's in the conversation for skill, no? Like, yeah,
absolutely. It must just be more consistent. And the thing is with the flyouts at the moment, there's so many options now. There's Mani's number 2. Masuku is definitely in the running. Even Jordan Hendricks seems to be mentioned in that kind of vein. Sasha Feinberg and Gemozulu, he seems to be in the running. So I think flyouts, we've got a full pantry of those guys. So I just wanted to say something. We just figured out how to get back the scrums like we used to have in France. Just kick it over the deadline.
Exactly. I love it. It's the example of how you switch one law here, and then there's always another hidden effect where you go, okay, so we're just going to boot it out. preferably from exactly halfway, not too much in your own territory, but just go and like just hoof it and see what happens.
Bring the scrum back into play. I mean, that's something that will work well. Tell me something. You mentioned the defense earlier when we spoke before, and Gary Gold, I don't know what he did. Maybe he went on a crash or something. Because the Bulls' defense, to me, it was the biggest improvement. They've always been a good attacking side. They've always scored tries. Always had big match, built up big points leads and the likes. But defense yesterday was exceptional compared to any other time of the season, and they actually played for a full 80 minutes as well. What do you think happened there?
Yeah, I think so. There was a different shape, and I'm going through Hanekom I'm doing an ISO on Hanekom, but in the process of doing that, I'm realizing where they put him, and they're using him a little bit like Peter Steph de Toy, where he is supposed to go behind enemy lines, do a salient, battle the bulge kind of thing, like how far can I get through you and then into the space. And he's rangy enough, like you said, he's long enough where he's a problem, him and Low. If they can get into your passing lanes, that's a problem. Ireland and Leinster both depend on the short passes. They're actually never throw more than a 7-meter pass. They don't do any skips. They don't like the long wily kind of thing. They try to keep it short. So they the Bulls clogged all the lanes. And it sowed panic. And this is what I was talking about where Sexton would have been able to think it through. I think on the field, in the moment, he might have been able to be coach on the field. Ross Byrne's not a coach on the field, and he's not even close to that yet. Jamison Gibson Park doesn't talk. He literally is a mute. Who was playing fullback? Jimmy O'Brien, not their proper fullback. So they didn't have the game managers to say, we're going to have to go out the back twice and do a fold, and then we'll come around. They just kept doing the same thing over and over. And I thought the Bulls were like, okay, you want to do that? Because I'm going to come smash you from the blind side. There was a lot of nice double tackles with force. I thought the Bulls rocked them. I thought physically there were moments where, Kellen Doris is a fine player, one of the best players in the world. And I thought he had one of the best games out there, but he still got outplayed by Hanekom. And when your best player gets outplayed by this no-name, I don't know, not a rookie, but he's young, I think that's got to shake your confidence. I think they needed someone to steady the ship, and I don't know if Ross Byrne is that guy. I don't think he is. Doesn't look like it.
We have a running joke in the press conferences where we say, but you should know the betting terminology. How many times Jake's going to say, or how long Jake's going to say before he says, Jake, we've got Hanekom, he's only 21, every single time. So we go ding.
Gonna be a big party.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't watch this, but yeah.
So, I watched almost all the playoff matches on the weekend. I took a really great interest in Canes versus Chiefs, as well as Blues versus Brumbies. And then I looked across Glasgow and Munster. And my reflection was this, that the loose trios won the day. Yes, it's true the glory goes to the game managers 9, 10, 15 in the end, or maybe a wing making a big break. But whoever the team was that had a clear edge on 6, 7, 8, at breakdown, at ruck, at link, at referee management, all of that, that's who won. You can look at across in New Zealand. So Tutu, Ione, Papali'i. You can look at Satiti, Jacobson, Tupo. They had superior play on the day. If you look at Hanekom, Low, and Van Staden, they clearly won that. They won that against a World Player of the Year, one of the best 8s in the world, and made their blind side anonymous. So I think that's the story. I think Glasgow did the same thing. I thought that Rory Darge, for example, was really good over the ball and gave Munster all kinds of trouble. So it's a lesson of when you get to knockout. Yeah, I think your loosies really are a big issue.
You mentioned last week when we played against Benetton that we weren't dominant enough in the tackles and we were on our feet too quickly. With Carr being there and Marco not being there, from what you just said, do you think they fixed it this week?
Yeah, it was cool, except for I saw Nemo did have the clearance kick of the game. But I think the shift, Marco van Staden on the field with too rangy, Okay, here's what I'll say about Lowe and Hanekom, and then I shut up about these guys. It's almost like it's a man crush, but you can put those guys anywhere in the field and you're not nervous. And I think that's a huge plus when you have at Bok level, Peter Toy, if he's in the wing, you're okay. You're completely fine. Whereas another guy out there, you're like, oh shit. I hope he doesn't get the ball in space. Hanekom was feeding Sergio at space. He waited to make sure that he had a backward pass. Lowe looks really comfortable with the ball in the air, offloading. I think that's a big thing, because then on the other side, on the ball, on the defense side, they tattoo people. They literally put their name on the guy.
I just wanted to say one last thing you mentioned now. And we talked about it right in the beginning, and that's probably down to those 4 points or 4 agreements that you mentioned. But getting young guys like this, and I'm going to do what Jake said, being 21 and 22 and not experienced, not that experience. But the point is, you have to switch on something in their heads. And that to me was the key to what happened yesterday. Yeah, they had home ground advantage. Yeah, they had the Loftus faithful. Loftus wasn't close to being full. It was 60% full. The whole Eastern Pavilion, the top part wasn't even unlocked. It was closed. It was locked. Couldn't get in there. And still, they managed to up their game to a level, like you just said, where they outplayed Players of the Year, International Team of the Year, second in the world, now third after the Bulls. I see everybody saying Ireland now being third. So I would love to have been in that locker room, in that being a fly on the wall, and seeing this new improved Jake, or whatever you want to call it, what he does to get into these young guys' heads. Like you said, they believe him and everything, but there has to be something more to it. To get a young guy, no experience at all in life or anything like that, to buy into that, man, that says something, I would say.
Why do we play sport in the first place? Why do we get up early? I remember as a kid, I would get up really early at 5 a.m. and go running barefoot around Polesmore prison because they had good floodlights. And I wanted to run barefoot because I wanted my feet to be tough. I wouldn't care if there was thorns. Everyone playing for the Bulls has something like that, some story. They got up a little bit earlier than their friends. They drank a little less beer. They took care of themselves. They got ready. Why do you do that? What's the whole point? And I think the point is that you're trying to grow. You want to be better, and you want to feel where your limits are. I really think Jake's the same way. I think Andries Becker's the same way. There are guys they were not always the good guys in the story. They were not always the hero. They were sometimes the villain. And I think we should stop being cynical and say, it's about change and growth, and people get into a team because they love each other. Sometimes they want to get better with each other. And I feel like, happy teams like that, it looks like the Bulls are a happy team. I feel like Sergio Peterson could stand right next to Jake White and say something funny, and it wasn't like, oh, the coach is going to say something bad, like Plumtree at the Sharks, where you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. I like that. I like Jake's different. I don't know. I mean, you would know better than me, but he looks like he's different from the outside.
I've got so much time for him. I tell you what, for Jake White, every time I see him, he impresses me again. Like you just said, honesty, forthright. Yeah, he might be playing a bit of mind games, like we said just now, but he doesn't, try dookies on.
But the other thing about all that is, I think he's so good to switch on to the next thing. Like I saw him literally in the post-match interview, and I almost imagined there was this moment where Skalkberger was talking to him, and then boom, you saw Jake going on to the next week. And he's a focused guy. I mean, there's a reason why he's someone who delivers championships and trophies and wins, because for one game, he will get his team to believe. You said something really important, was how do you take a young guy and do this? Well, generationally, they learn differently. When you and I were in teams, the coach would just say, run through the poles, take this guy's head off, brantom la de poop, whatever. No one cared. You just did, right? Now you have to show them why. Here's a schematic. Here's what we're going to do. I got to convince you, if you're 21, that this is going to work. You want to see proof and evidence. You also want to see that that there was analytics behind it. They're different, a different breed. I think, like Jake said post-match, he said, we're a big team. We're a big team in the world. This is a big club team. We should take that on. Why should we be tipping our hat to Leinster and bowing? We shouldn't. So yeah, new game in town for you guys. Really great times, both for the Stormers and the Bulls. If you look at the 3 years, And I'm also actually optimistic about the Sharks. So it's a good time for South African rugby. It also points out that winning solves a lot of problems, and winning is its own thing. Once you start to win, little kids get in love with it. You get a better athlete come in. He doesn't go to another sport. Times are good.
Okay, Harry, enough analysis. Let's look forward a little bit. Glasgow shot the lights out yesterday. I saw, I don't know if it's fake or it's not fake, but there's a picture doing the rounds where Munster was advertising tickets for the final against the Bulls on the big screen there.
You can never be sure now whether it's real or not, but there was a bit of that. I mean, I thought Munster would take care of them too, but Glasgow's tough. They're a tough little team.
Yeah, the thing is they've got Frankie Smith in their corner now. And I saw that interview afterwards. You know, we talked about Jake being clever. We talked about Rassie being clever. Here's another South African coach that's quite clever, no? Knows how to work with people. He's apparently he's quite harsh or strict. That's a better word probably. But good relationships. And this Glasgow team is really, I think, playing well beyond its expected capabilities. You know, to beat Munster at home in a semi-final, it takes some doing.
Yeah. There's a common element with these coaches we've been talking about is they spend some time overseas getting outside their formative years and what they were taught and stop the conventional wisdom and kind of just maybe they have more freedom to experiment. You know how it is in South African, you know, vibe of like, you know, you cannot lose anything. Sometimes you got to lose to win. Sometimes you have to take a few steps back and embed in a system. And I think that's really interesting to see how that happens. I don't know. Like, so I will say this weekend was really tough on, it's tough right now to do my Harry index. I know there's MVX index as well, but, and you can just plug in the numbers. I have to actually literally do, you know, prognostication and inerrant, infallible, divine wisdom. But, you know, yeah, Toulouse, Blues, Bulls, Leinster, Glasgow kind of sort themselves out top 5 for me, depending on what Bordeaux does. The 6 through 10 is really tough, but I think Toulouse has that rebuttable presumption I've been talking about. Now they stumble next week. Okay, they can drop, but Blues, Bulls, Leinster, Glasgow, you know, I think they're still up there. Leinster will fall again, you know, with one more week because they're out of the picture. But another team that I think really fell in our estimation was the Saints over the course of the season, and now they're kind of inching up in my index because they did what they had to do. They had more losses than I like, but yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know if you saw anything in New Zealand, but the Blues look like a test team. I think the Blues could play any of these guys in the top level. You know, they hadn't played people in a while, but they could come and just Caleb Clark and Mark Talea and you know, Ione and those guys. They really ready to play. So I don't know what happens next. I think Glasgow comes to Loftus and gives you guys a royal battle. I just think that home pitch in this case and with a proper referee is going to be too much.
And 52,000 people this time.
Yeah, I just think the Bulls can score. And if I think Leinster, to give Leinster some credit, a lot of other teams would have been run over. They really did hang in. There was some real championship caliber there where I think in that first purple patch of the Bulls, I really thought it was going to be just demolition. But they hung in there. They were cover tackling, scrambling. A couple of Bulls made bad decisions. And so at the half, like, was it 10-7? I was thinking, I'm not sure about this. But no, I think Glasgow will not be able to do that. I don't think Glasgow can stop you guys if you get on a stampede.
The big question for me is Willie Leroux going to play? And I've heard today from a reasonably good source, he's not going to play.
Oh no. Yeah, that's a problem. I think Bulls can play without Willie. He cropped up a lot in first receiver. He did a lot of cross kicks. He did a lot of traffic control, I guess. But no, I just don't. I think there's a reason why Jan Goossen was rated so highly by all the European coaches. I know a guy who does scouting for the French clubs, and they routinely said that the Goose was top in skill set. It was all about up here. You know, so if he feels comfortable, there's things he can do with a rugby ball that I don't think Glasgow can match.
I'm glad you mentioned that now. We just talked about, what does Jake do to switch people on? And Goosen is one of those people. And he said what he did to switch Goosen on. He showed him the video of when Goosen was a matric playing for Grey College against Paul Roos. And they beat them 41-something. And 36 of those 41 points were scored by Goosen that day.
Yeah.
And that did it for Goosen. That's the kind of coach that Jake was just on about. Sorry, I just made the connection as you were talking. I remember what he said last night. It's very important.
He's a confidence player, right? By that I mean it's negative actually. He's a guy that needs confidence to play well, whereas some guys like Pollard can be kind of everything going wrong. Doesn't really matter. The next kick goes over. I think the first kicks for Goosen are important. I think the first strikes. I think he's got to cut the charge downs down, right? The out. There's no way he can get charged down in the final and have everything go right.
More than once. Yeah.
I think it was 3 times. I think they should dock some of his pay for those.
Well, pay some of my doctor's bill. I tell you what, I aged. I was at that on the stand.
Where were you seated?
On the West Pavilion, just under the hospitality suites, top row there. There's a bench there that you put your computer and stuff on.
Yeah.
And they've got internet cables and stuff, Ethernet cables that don't work. It's quite.
Was there a vibe? Was there a vibe in the crowd?
Well, what would you say is watching the game from the USA? Do we think there was a vibe?
It felt subdued. There were moments where I thought, why is it not more like craziness?
No,
I don't
know.
And then it was like when the tide turned, it's almost like when Sergio get the one-handed catch and went in, and suddenly the crowd was having a party.
No, they were going all the way. The big thing is, glad you mentioned it. Last week I said to you the crowd was subdued. And it's because the DJ wasn't involved, and this is a completely off the rugby subject, but the DJ is quite an important guy at Loftus because he keeps geeing up the crowd all the time. I've been there many times.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it last week. He only came alive in the last 5 minutes or so. And there wasn't that many people. It was 20,000 people last week. This week he was on it from the first minute. Kurt Darren singing, and the normal guy was playing an accordion, and there was smoke bombs, and they handed out flags, and all those flags still waving there. They were given away, for free. You could have one. Come wave it about.
When the cameras would do that, it was a great vibe. The problem is, for some reason, the production needs to focus more on that, the vibe. Because you guys are packed in on the not sunny side, and sometimes there's just too many shots of the sunny side where there's no people.
Yeah, see what they did on the sunny side is they closed off the top part. If you only sit at the bottom, but that was full.
Yeah.
But next week it's going to be packed to the rafters. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But yeah, you're right. Most of them.
The flyover, is it going to be a big Boeing flyover? 757, 737.
I can't see it not happening. No. Willem Strauss has been going absolutely bananas with his WhatsApps since that. The moment that the final whistle blew against the Munster game, this WhatsApp, he was obviously sitting there having prepared it and pressed send. Final will be at Loftus.
Look, I was very happy that the Bulls smashed Leinster and put them in their place. But there's a part of me also that just, so much cheering for the Bulls. It's like, I have to do some therapy now.
No, you'll get over it. Don't worry. Just give it to the dark side, man.
Now what did it finish the job? Now it's totally about finishing the job, because this season it will be a very bad story if you lose at home. And it's going to be an actually amazing story if you finish the job. So, I can feel like everyone, no matter where they are, just diaspora, even in Cape Town, it's all Bulls now. We're all Bulls.
That's the interesting thing now. Everybody in South Africa that I know was supported the Bulls yesterday. Yeah, you've got one or two little, what do you want to call them? But really, South Africa was united behind the Bulls yesterday, and that's what we want. I like that. It's always us against the world, man. It never.
It's an easy vintage or version of the Bulls to support. And I'll say it this way: these are likable guys. When I actually think through, and I think of a Volcolo, and I think of Aka van der Merwe, these are some nice guys. They're fun to root for. And I've always actually really thought Willie Leroux is one of my favorite players, even when he's grumpy. In fact, especially when he's grumpy, I like him.
That means he's always. I've never once seen him smile. Not on the field, not on the practice pitch, not when he walks past you. Never seen him smile. But you know what? Funny story about Willie. I was walking to Loftus the other day. I think it was against Benetton. And because I live quite close by, and I had this guy walking next to me, and he started talking to me. And he says, yeah, I'm a gardener. I says, no, since when are you watching rugby? No, and he says, Mr. Willie gave me tickets. He's a guy that works in the garden of the house that Willie rents. So Willie gave him some tickets to go watch the rugby for the first time in his life. He's got his Blue Bulls jersey and everything on. I mean, that was quite awesome to me. I like that. That's the funny thing about Willie. I never get the idea that he's happy being at the Bulls. I know it's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but that's what I feel like. It's like he's there because he has to be. He's got a job to do, but he'd rather be in Cape Town. That's just the impression I get.
I think that's his shtick too. I just think he likes to walk around and be grumpy. Like I saw him in Australia once post-match. It was the Adelaide loss. And I just told him, I said, we need more Willie. We need more you. And he's like, tell it to Rossi. Like he was just grumpy even that morning. He thinks, so here's what, he thinks he should be on the field at all times in every game. And I like that kind of player, he will take responsibility. So hopefully he can recover.
I hope so.
I wouldn't put it past them that they're doing a smoke and mirrors on that too, and making you think it's not going to be him, and then it's him.
Talking about smoke and mirrors, something else. There were several of the Bulls players that were injured that we knew about that played. Regardless.
Really? Yeah.
We were quite
well. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
It's like you're hurt, but you're not injured. It's like it's like the physio is like you kind of niggled, you're hurt, but you're not really injured.
So when you lift your arm, does it go all black? No, you can play.
Can you feel your finger?
Talking about Rossi, I was watching them the other day, highly illegally so, when they were playing on the practice field outside Loftus. They chased some of the other colleagues away, but I was standing way further back. They didn't see me. But you couldn't see that much. I mean, I had to really see who the hell was there. And I saw Jesse Gill, for example, but they were quite secretive now. That's one of the things apparently has been changed a bit. They don't like you hanging around anymore. Not like the old days, you come around, have a beer. Not allowed there. You have to have permission and everything else. Rossi seems to be
fine margins.
Guards against the chest nowadays,
I'm going to ask you, when you're at a live match, how do you watch a match? How do you watch a rugby match? What's your go-to? What's your template? Are you looking at one player? Do you kind of try to look gain line? Like how do you consume a live match?
When I'm at the stadium.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Because it's kind of different.
No, it depends what I do. Like yesterday, we streamed this Afrikaans commentary, for example. So I was on my laptop. I was talking to people, having chats and keeping scores and keeping up the time and watching the game and getting all hyped up and jumping up and down and pulling my earphones out. I tend to get involved I get caught up in the emotion, to be honest with you. That's why I prefer to watch it on TV. Like you said this morning, I watch it afterward, then I watch.
Yeah.
And I would
That's my favorite. I love being there, and then I like to see what I saw. Like, wait, I didn't see that right.
I saw some of the guys, AP Northampton, for example, saying David Creel did so much good work in the receiving of the kickoffs. And then I watched it and I saw it, but I never noticed it before. Somebody pointed it out to me because I was looking at something else, for example. That's the kind of thing that I like. I like to watch the game live, then read as much as I possibly can, and then I go watch the game again. We're keeping this in mind, and then I start seeing things that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. That's how I do it. But I get caught up in the emotion when I'm there. I can't help it. It's just who I am.
No, I see what you mean. I actually thought Papier had a really good game. I thought that he's was matched up against one of the best in the world. I love those kind of benchmarks. If you're a player, you want those. You want to be Hanekom against Doris. You want to be Papier against Gibson Park. And I thought he did really good on the blind side. I think he always kept them guessing on the short side. And so I'm interested because I think you're right about Franco Smith and Glasgow. They're a really smart team. They're going to be hard. They're going to be hard to outsmart. I think the mismatches are where the Bulls need to be. Just superior athleticism, speed, and so forth. Because I don't know if it's going to be an outthinking game again.
Yeah. No, like yesterday, Glasgow's all about attack. Yesterday, they were all about defense. And they managed to score tries against the run of play, and they managed to win the game like that. That's the kind of thing you can't prepare for, really. And one of the things Jake said specifically is, for all of Jacques Ninaber's little stats machines that I talked about, Gordon Smith played for the Stormers 2 years ago, and he was swapped around with Wandisile Milani. Nobody had anything on him. They didn't know what to expect. And when he came on, he didn't go placenta, he played on wing. So they couldn't really prepare for it, because Billy was off and Devin moved to fullback. And so he said he was smiling about it. He said, you can prepare as much as you want to, but if you don't know the players, how can you prepare for it? It's not, you don't know. And that's a funny thing. Gordon Smith, parachuted into the Bulls in exchange for Similani, who was throwing a temper tantrum, and gets his debut in a semi-final against Leinster.
Yeah,
that's quite a big thing.
You guys went back to the kick. There was let's see, 77 kicks, I think, total, 40, 37, 40 kicks from hand. That wasn't really how the Bulls played all year. The Bulls were a high offload, keep the ball in play, swing it wide. Something about that was interesting to me. Like, almost like, again, Jake knew that already in his sleeve. We're just going to kick the leather off the ball. We're going to chase it hard. We're even going to kick it right down the center of the pitch so it's bouncing around. Do you think that's going to continue for the final? Do you think you're looking at a 40-kick, 35-kick match for the Bulls?
Well, firstly, he said that was the plan. They didn't kick contestables, like you said earlier. They wanted to kick long. That was part of the plan. Yeah. He was all smiling about, we caught them there, I never expected that. And it's true, they didn't expect that. The thing with Glasgow last time, they took a page from the Munster copybook, and they were lying around and faking injuries and resting. And I think if they want to start kicking again to get the guys to run up and down again, if it, make them more tired or fatigue them more, whatever the right word is, I think that might still happen. But against an attacking team like Glasgow, and our defense maybe was good yesterday, but in general, it's not that good. I wouldn't back my defense against a proper attacking side. So I actually don't know what he's going to do, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if he knows. He said last night, he's going to go home, watch the Munster game, watch our game again, and then he's going to have a think about it. And we'll see what happens.
Is one of the takeaways from this yesterday, is one of the takeaways from it that Leinster tried to do both. They tried to have a European Cup and they tried to have a League Cup, and the Bulls did not. The Bulls literally put their eggs in one of those baskets. You could actually argue that Toulouse might also be playing that same game.
Jocks.
Like, it's interesting. Like, maybe you have to know who you are and how much resources you have, and the Bulls weren't ready yet. But you would think that Jake ultimately wants to do the big one, wants to get the Champions Cup. That's really what he wants. And then come back into the test coach conversation.
I can tell you that what he said to me about that exactly. That week before they flew to Northampton, he said to me, not worried about the Champions Cup, not this year.
Nah, not this time.
I'm worried about it next year. This year?
Probably need a couple more tight forwards recruitment. Like, so if you win, if you win, and we're not talking it up and not in any way dismissing Glasgow, but let's say you win, you can recruit players better off of that. Players are like everyone else. I want to be on a winning team.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, let's talk about the Boks quickly. There's another small match happening next week, about 3 hours before the big one. At 3 o'clock at Twickenham. So the Boks are playing a small little team there in red jerseys. So we'll see. We're hearing all kinds of things about, this is going to be an experimental team. Any thoughts about what the team might look like?
I think in the pack, you'll see a recognizable Springbok team, maybe with Ruiz, or a young gun coming in at 8 for obvious reasons. But I mean, you'll look at the pack and you'll say that pack should be fine. What's interesting to me is this chatter around 10 and 15. I just because you could put Andre in the middle with Creel, or like you can put a midfield together that's not going to be ridiculous. You're always going to have a flyer, a Pinkby, or Edville is almost like KLA, but maybe a little bit stronger actually. But I just think it's interesting at 10 and 15. That's where I think it'll be interesting to see, and combinations matter. Like, I've always wondered, we talk about Libok. I think there's a kind of scrum off that he likes to play with, and I'm not sure that it's Faf. I think Faf belongs more with a certain kind of 10, and then you look at other guys
like
and you wonder, like a Quicksilver, like we all going to be quick twitch together. It's going to be like a mosh pit craziness. I think Monty almost thrives in the chaos. Well, I think where Monty has trouble is the set piece kind of thing, where you're quiet and you have prep and you're like on the tee, or you have to do this. I think he's not a pre-programmed kind of player. He's more like, like a free-flowing guy. And so I think it's interesting when you pair 9s and 10s. So I think that's interesting for the coaches. I think they'll take it as an experiment. I think it's literally one of those games where they're not going to be terribly disappointed if it's a loss, if they get good information, intel for for the season end. You and I and all the fans, we hate that. Like win every match, never want to lose. I want complete domination. I just don't think the Springbok coaching thinks like that. I think they're always got a longer term plan.
Well, he said on Friday at the press conference they don't want to lose anymore. They want to win these games, even while they're experimenting. I mean, that's just probably just the right thing to say. It might not mean it. But about your 10-15 thing that he talked about, I'm wondering when who's going to be the, if Andre's no longer there, we talked about it last week, and as predicted, we got a lot of venomous comments about Marnie.
We love Marnie.
Yeah, we do.
No one dislikes Marnie. He's like a
kick for poles, man. No,
he is wonderful. He's one of the great, team characters. I couldn't speak highly enough of him. But we also, like, going back to my 4 agreements, don't make excuses. Speak impeccably. Like, be precise. And one of the things is you cannot have a guy you're not trusting from the tee, because it makes a ripple effect. So then you're going to go to the corner instead of taking the 3 because you're not sure about it. And suddenly you're looking at a scoreboard that looks horrible when you've been dominating. And that's not Test rugby's.
Yeah, or you're going to pick someone at 15 who can kick for poles rather than someone else who might be a better attacking option. For example, Sasha can kick quite well, but he's not really a 15, but he might be playing 15. Fassi is not really, he can't kick for poles. Horn can't kick for poles, or not, it's not an acknowledged place kicker. If Marnie is going to be in the team, if you bring in Masuku, who doesn't miss anything, you've got more options at the back. Makes it, Sasha comes in or Horn comes in. Looks like Quan Horn is going to be the 15. That seems to be the thing.
That's exciting. Yeah. You know who could kick for poles is Andre Esterhazen. Yeah, what I hear from in practice and so forth, he's a guy who wins. When they're betting $10 here and there, he can kick from a long way out too.
And Faf can also obviously kick, but not from far away.
Faf is kind of sneaky that way. I actually have always been impressed with his place kicking, and I know at Sale they played him at 10 sometimes, so he was the actual designated, kicker around the field as well. No, I just think that in this particular match, it's one of those matches where you can see almost anything happen. Wales could pitch up and do one of those typical Welsh Dragon things where they play out of their skin. They don't mind playing without the ball. They kind of, like, each team goes, no, you have the ball. No, you have the ball. Like, no one wants it. Typical Bok Wales thing. Or it could be a new era where the Boks actually use some of these skill coaching. Tony Brown, you might see some more influence there. I don't know. You would think it's a very bad day for Bok rugby if it's anything close to a loss or a close win. That's not going to make any of us happy.
Oh, I spoke to one of my friends. He said, listen, we're the world champions. The first game we're defending our title. We're number 1 in the world. No matter how experimental it's going to be or how much of a preparation it's going to be or just a trial run, you want to win it just for the sake of it.
Yeah, but we're terrible at being favorites. We're so good at underdogs.
Yeah.
You have to somehow make a plausible story that we're underdogs to Wales.
I'm interested to see what Tony Brown's going to come up with, and that's going to probably determine the midfield as well. Maybe put Sasha in at centre or Jordan Hendricks even. There seems to be a bit of talk about that as well at centre.
Oh, really? Interesting. Mm-hmm. You can see that in the new generation of Bok players. It looks like versatility is one of the prime assets. All the 9s can play multiple positions, and you can mix and match a lot of the guys. I'm looking forward to having someone run from the back, like Horn, who can really keep the ball in 2 hands and make people guess. I really think that's what Leinster needed, by the way, against the Bulls, is something more threatening from the back. It's just such a game changer when you have someone like that, like a Willie who can make you guess. You're not sure what's happening.
Yeah. No, I can imagine that little Lions combination, Horn and Edel van der Merwe. Edel van der Merwe is going to raise a few eyebrows. Not many people have seen him play because
he's good.
That was nobody really watches the Lions, but not that many people follow the Lions. They're going to be pleasantly surprised. I followed them this year. I tell you what, that guy is a freaking talent. The only thing is funny to me. Sorry, his gym
stats are crazy too. His squats and deadlifts. He's insane. Like, he can lift like a prop. No, seriously. Like, what they use the strength per weight ratio, like a cyclist in the Tour de France, and you want to be like as little as possible but as strong as possible. Edville's got that. He's a really strong boy. So I think that's interesting when you have someone out there. Actually, the French have a guy like that, a kind of little wing, but he's strong. It gives you options.
Yeah. All right. Just on the bench, I was just wondering about if Netlin Fouché is going to make his debut somewhere, either off the bench or in the starting team.
He must shave his head. I want him to shave his head and grow a really big beard. I think, he doesn't look ferocious enough with that kind of 1975.
And he must get bigger shorts, man. The shorts are too small.
I do like he's got long levers, like he's got really long legs and arms for a prop. And I think he has to sort out how that works in the test games. But I would love to see it. He's a guy, what is he, 31 or something? It's interesting how long it took, to get
prop,
there.
Man, a prop only matures over 30.
Yeah, true. And you look at Dwayne Vermeulen, he was a late bloomer. Lots of guys are late bloomers, and they're really, in the end up, they're epic. So he could be. Well, I think his vibe and personality is great for a team. He has one of the best social media games out there. He's very vulnerable. He talks about stuff, cool. If you look at the Stormers scrum, which was one of the only things that was really constantly good, he was a big part of that. His plus minus on penalties won and conceded, which the URC actually publishes, top drawer.
Talking of which, the URC published a team, by the way. I forgot to tell you. You saw that? The team of the tournament.
Yes.
Mostly Bulls. One Leinster.
That's why you bring it up.
Yeah, I just something good to remind you, just keep me a warm, fuzzy feeling. There you go.
Look, in the Harry Index, the Bulls are in the top 3 right now. I mean, unless something really weird happens with Bordeaux and they win by 80 or something, the Bulls are the 3rd best team in the world. No one was saying that when we started the season. So it makes sense.
Yeah, you told me last week when you dropped them to 9, and inexplicably so. Don't worry, they can make a comeback in this week.
No, they had to drop, and they had to get a hiding. That was kind of terrible. I mean, I know it was a win, but it was just terrible. And I think there's a kind of lesson there. I kind of did what Jake White did. I gave them a bollocking, and then boom, they came back. Yeah.
I just figured out what Jake did to motivate them. He published the Harry's index there. This week you were last week. This week you're number 9. Come on, guys. Prove him wrong. There we go.
Yeah, I know. They could have stayed. Like, listen, if the Bulls had lost, they would still be number 9. They would be around there. And that's how big that match was. When you play a team with the tight 5 is Test Internationals, number 9, a midfield with Henshaw. I mean, like, there was a lot of reasons why the Bulls could have lost that match and would have been able to say, well, we're playing Ireland, and they didn't do that.
I need to rethink my data-driven yet completely irrational MVS index. The way
you have to compare the leagues. It's impossible to do. You cannot, the Brumbies cannot be in your top 5. It's impossible.
The thing is, that's what I'm saying. Purely on numbers, they are, but they can't be. That's right. You're right there.
You have to assign weight. Yeah.
To the knockouts, you have to have a weight, not just to the league. A knockout game is different to a normal game.
Because the whole season, when you really look at it from a team standpoint, it's just, can you qualify to get in the top 4, the final 4, I mean, and then what do you do there? That's why I'm giving Toulouse a rebuttable presumption right now, because in the biggest comp that there was in Europe, they took that. So it can be rebutted. Leinster just got rebutted. Now they're on their butts. They're gone. Bull said, I take your rebuttable presumption or stuff it. And that's what you do. So that's why people say Harry Index did some shifting. I go, but it was always designed that way. You got to get in. Saints have done their work, so now they're done. Now they're just going to rise and fall on what happens next. But you can see Glasgow, Bulls, Blues, Toulouse, and Bordeaux. Anything can happen now. Anything can happen. If Bulls just towel Glasgow, they're probably going to be at least number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with my index now. There's too little movement. I mean, the Bulls moved up a bit, but over the season, it didn't make that much of a difference. It doesn't take into account that you beat the bloody Irish national team. Sorry for the language, but you have to give a bigger weight. I'll think about that. And then also, when do we finish this index? After all the French top 14 and all that, it's now done. The finals we played in France. Then we're done.
Yeah. So I just invented this thing, and I was thinking that it will come to a close when top 14 and URC and everything's the club's done. And then I actually think the World Rugby international test side ranking is pretty fair. I mean, if we had more test matches, it would be even better, but it kind of usually shakes out kind of where you're supposed to be. It's a little bit harsh on some of the Southern Hemisphere teams because of who they have to play all the time. Like if you're Australia, you're always playing so many All Blacks and Springboks. It's not so fun. Like I wonder what the ranking would be for England if they were just constantly playing All Blacks and Springboks. But Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't need a Harry index for the test side. I think club teams interesting because the leagues have different shapes. Like I think there's actually some really tough teams, the top 14, and nothing really bad there because of relegation. Whereas at the bottom of Premiership, bottom of Super Rugby, and the bottom of URC, it's really bad. I mean, I'm not even sure those teams at the bottom could beat the top Japanese team or MLR, Houston Sabercats. I'm not sure.
Talking of the Houston Sabercats, I see Hanekom wants to come home.
What a good coach. What an underrated coach. I was talking to a guy that used to prep against him for England and just saying, when you played a Hanekom team, you could not touch their set piece. They came in with set piece really good. Meyer was also kind of one of those guys, I think, who scripted phases 1 through 5. So everyone knew exactly what they were doing. It was like NFL, almost gridiron. 1 through 5 was done. Not even a need to talk. Where he always came undone was he was too rigid. He would get locked into honor, privilege, old player, maybe even a hurt player, and he would stick with them too much, a Victor Matfield type. That was the one thing. I think he's almost too sentimental. And, Rossi's showed the way of like, nah, I don't care who you are. Everyone's droppable.
That's what Jake said last night as well, come to think of it. You talk about his evolution as a coach. Last year, he was too loyal to too many players, and it bit him. This year, he made it different. He made a conscious choice not to do that. And look where they are now, no?
I totally get it. You want your guys that you love, that you think was, you want to get them redemption. So sometimes they have a stinker of a game and you put them back in and you really should drop them, but you say, no, you can come back. But look at Sergio Peterson, right? He really did well. I think the Goose had a really good game besides being charged down. So I don't know. It's tricky. The coach knows the personality. I think Hanekom does belong back in South African rugby. I think there's a place for him, but what I hear from Houston is that he has really progressed in his ability to he was always a good teacher, but I think now he can really take someone who's already pretty good and make them better. That's the thing. Can you, I don't know where he would fit though. Where do you think, where is the spot for him?
I have to ask you. I don't know where, there's no place, except for one of the small teams, the minnows or something, I don't know.
I was thinking more like an academy, so for a long time in Ireland, Stuart Lancaster moved into a role where he was just finding new talent, making sure it was well kept, well trained, and they would feed in to the system. And that's why Ireland is playing a little bit above their heads now in terms of talent. They just get the lot out of each guy. I could see Meyer being that kind of senior figure where he takes the guys under his wing and you're just marginal, you're on the bubble. How can I make Pepsi Buthelezi a little better? Like really take one of those guys and say, I can take you to the next level.
You mean on a national level? Because I think maybe the Bulls will. He's a Bulls boy through and through, so maybe pop up there. Somewhere. But we can do it like a Dwayne Vermeulen kind of a roving coach kind of job.
I don't think Meyer would want to be below Jake White. So it'd have to be some position where he was like the chancellor, you're in the exactly, like a different level. And I think that I think Rossi did that for a while before he became head coach of the Springboks. He was a guy he looked at the whole picture and he was like IP guy, developing guy, and catching people so you don't lose them or they don't peak out when there's 21, 22.
This is the Lekker Rugby Pod with Harry Jones and MW Welman.